to share this. I think a little gopher or some birds pulled some of my sunflower starts in the back of the garden that I wanted to be a pretty backdrop. So I found or got some of the big yellow mammoth sunflower seeds, and I had some of the mixed color ones, and also some purple sunflowers my daughter gave me. I think it was one last year, might have been the year before, and I decided to force them. And so what you do, it's real simple. You can force seeds and get some rapid growth out of them. In 3 days, I have all three of those sunflower varieties sprouting, and most of them are about an inch tall. And then I also went ahead and sprouted some corn. This corn variety is a dual season, dual harvest variety. So you could plant it in the spring and harvest in the summer. You could plant it in the summer and harvest 60 days later in the fall. So I went ahead and decided to go ahead. I really do believe this is only July, but I really do believe we're going to have what they call the Indian summer, where summer lingers into fall. I think it's going to linger well into October, and then I feel though that when fall hits, which I believe is probably going to be more like probably early November, it's going to come down like a heavy wool blanket, of very deep fall weather. We'll see if that's right. It just kind of feels like that's the direction it's going. So in 3 days, and over here I went ahead and sprouted some more broccolini. And so basically it was very simple. I bought these little peat pots, and I put soil in them and a little shot of Miracle-Gro, that liquid soil food, and put them just in a regular plastic tray, and then put some little stakes in there. They're like little sandwich spikes. They get kind of wonky. That's not a big deal. Anyway, and then covered them with plastic, and I made a vent so I could water them, spray them, and also then I could open it and let them resuscitate. They get steamy. So basically in 3 days I have these beautiful sprouts. So what I'll do is in another few days, when they're a little bit bigger, is I'm going to move them and put them back along the fence line and put my gopher repellent that I recreated all around them and everything, and see if that helps. Also my little herb garden. I think maybe some of you remember that from a while back. I've repotted parsley, Italian parsley, but it seems to be doing well. I have time. And I wanted to share something else with you, this weird little experiment. So my nasturtium was getting extremely leggy. So I decided to try something, because I noticed these little nodules growing underneath the leaflets and that were still on the branches. So I cut these little clusters from the main branches that were very, very, like about a foot long of legginess, maybe even longer. And I decided to to saturate. I added some food to the soil, and you can see what's happening here. Okay, look, take a look. Little teeny tiny, pardon my fingernails, I've been gardening and I don't have the nice nails today, but in the summertime they tend to get cut back quite a bit. But anyway, so I have this is what's happened. It was an experiment to see if those nodules on the plants that still have leaf remaining will actually root. And I've never tried this before, and I'll be darned, look at the little tiny babies coming up. Look at those coming up from the nodules, and there's still some of the original leaf hanging on. So this is kind of a neat way to get, like, multiple generations out of your nasturtiums. I did go ahead and put a couple more fresh seeds in there because I want it to be very, very bunchy. And I love nasturtium. It's very peppery. I love to pull the leaves and throw them in salads, or sprinkle some of the flowers, or arrange them on plates and all, for like appetizer plates or whatever. They're beautiful and edible. So that's what's going on. The nasturtium trick, that was kind of a neat thing, and I looked at it and thought, no, this will work, and I'll be danged, it is working. Creating another generation, you might say, of the nasturtiums out of just removing them from the primary leggy stems and planting them with the little nodules down in the earth. So we have soil nourishing those little nodules, and they're creating a root system. And we also have the new leaf coming up, and then the prior leaf dying back. So it's kind of a neat way to rejuvenate, revive or lengthen the life of your nasturtium. So that was kind of neat. And out in the garden, we'll take a little walk. So I created this formula, and I'm going to experiment with it. It seems to be helping. So we have these cucumbers are doing beautifully. These are these little teeny tiny Boston picklers, and they have a lot of, and they're really taking growth. The corn, as I showed you, I have more coming up. I had a beautiful big corn on that corner right there, and a gopher stole it, but I hadn't treated the corn bed. Now I have treated it with my gopher dope. So let's call it gopher kryptonite. Anyway, so he hasn't bothered any of the plants that I've treated. There's the watermelon, and it's developing some really beautiful blossoms. This is also a late harvest melon. So since I started my garden in July, typically I've always started them in April or May, I went ahead and tried to find seeds and or little plants that had quick harvest, as well as like the multiple season, in other words, double harvest growing season. So my tomatillo is doing incredibly well. It's beautiful. I did create a stake with this stick to hold it up so it would grow upright, and it looks like that's working. And this is kale. I love to bunch my kale. I do. I like it to grow in just a big bunch like my grandma used to, and come out and pull leaves off. I have two beautiful mature solid sunflowers coming up. Here's one. I think there's some smaller varieties trying to pop up, but I'm going to help them out with the other ones. Here's another. So those are the gigantic big yellow mammoth sunflowers. These are beans. These are my, they're a French filet string bean. And they've all of a sudden taken root and gone crazy. So I have some Roma tomatoes. A gopher pulled my first one out. Actually drug it down his hole. And this is a hot temperature tomato. And this is a little cherry. I do like little, no, correction. That's a normal sized tomato, but a yellow tomato, kind of an heirloom variety. And let's see, we have some peppers. So we have habanero. And over here we have jalapeno with some blossoms on it, and little tiny jalapenos. And then I bought this one to replace one that got pulled up. No, this is a jalapeno, correction. And so these over here are cubanelles. You see I have some beautiful peppers on there. These will turn red, orange, or yellow. You harvest them at either point. And let's see, there's my cornerstone, this wildflower that just decided it likes it here. So, and these are the lemon cucumbers that I planted in honor of my grandma. The first food I ever preserved with her were peaches, and I made some berry jams, and lemon cucumber bread and butter pickles. So when I could find the lemon cucumber seeds, I plant them in honor of my grandma, my paternal grandmother. She taught me how to preserve foods, or got me interested when I was 13. And I was actually younger when I was interested. I thought her pantry was stunning, like stained glass in there with her jars of jams and jellies and fruits. And I was always impressed by it. So at 13, I spent some time with her one summer, and in the house that was actually built by my great-grandparents. And I learned the art of preserving foods. And since then I've expanded into preserving meats and various different other things, for whatever, things can happen, and sometimes it's just good to have and good to do. It's a skill that's good to learn for many reasons. Like I said, I'm a diehard prepper. I have long-term food storage and various other things, because you just really never know what's going to happen. And it's just good. It's economically wise to have some backup storage. We could become disabled, we could become ill, we could have our income kick our butts because of unknown things. We've all, many of us have experienced that. So it's good to have backup. So here's a pan of my little garden. It's actually, all the plants are taking root beautifully, and are just starting to really boast. We've had these 100+ degree days, and it's really been positive. I'm really excited about the watermelon now that it seems like it's growing every day. The watermelon and the little Boston picklers are going crazy. But so I like my little garden. I didn't grow any squash this year because my favorite is patty pan and acorn, and it really truly does need to go in a little bit earlier, I think. So maybe next year, wherever I am, I'll always have a garden, either herbs or something growing, potted, tiered, stuck in the dirt. You can see my little technique here that I was talking about. I think I did another video. I built like these little nests, and I surrounded them with straw, mixed some straw in to the earth that I made the rings, the little nest circles with. And I did that too. You can see here's a really good one. The bigger plants have better, deeper nests, but I did that to make this a conservation effort for water, and reducing water consumption. So I just basically fill each of the holes with water when I water them in the evening, and because I do it in the evening, actually the plant has a chance to absorb a lot of it, and the straw actually works like a sunscreen and prevents the sun from absorbing the moisture out of the bed. It reduces that and gives the plant more opportunity to really, really suck it up, to drink it. And it's working. It's working beautifully. And every now and then I'll pull some grass from the field over here and lay it down around them to do the same thing, try to keep the moisture in the earth as long as I can. And my little water conservation project is working. I'm watering once a day. And instead of like watering rows and rows and just dropping a hose and just, draining rows and rows and rows or filling them with tons of water, I opted to go this route. Something just in my head clicked and said, no, let's try this. And I'm sure it's something I may have read years ago, or just something I thought sounded like a really smart idea. So I'm doing it, and it's working. The baby picklers over there are growing every day. I come out and there's inches of more growth on them. There's little teeny tiny cucumbers on there, so that'll be fun. And again, like my cubanas, if you take a look, I have some beautiful cubana peppers. See them? Whoops, see them right there? So I'm waiting for them to turn colors. Those will be, you can harvest them at yellow, orange, or red. They all will be that color on one bush, which is super cool. And anyway, so it looks pretty good. I'm really excited about my kale. I have a neighbor that likes kale, and I thought, well, I'll put some kale in. I actually love kale. And you could see over here I have some ichiban, little Japanese ichiban eggplant. I'm going to do a tempura with those. I love tempura. And anyway, so that's what. Oh, and I did go ahead. I kind of have a collective nightshades with nightshades, but so I did go ahead and add this little pepper. That one's an ancho, and I do enjoy dried ancho. My dehydrator dries really beautifully. My Ninja Vortex, it does a great job dehydrating herbs and berries and stuff like that. So, small batch, of course, so I'm going to use it. But anyway, so that's my lovely little garden walk, and I come out multiple times a day just to see if I have any gophery intruders, or if my gopher kryptonite, gopher dope, is working. And about a week into it, it looks like I have them under control, although I had a habanero. It was smaller, like this pepper right here. So this is a new habanero, that bigger bunch. I had to buy a plant, but there was a smaller one, and the fuzzy little guy, it was the one I was experimenting. I didn't put the gopher kryptonite around it, my formula, and I'll be damned, it was the only plant I didn't put around because I was curious, and he pulled it. He pulled it into his tunnel. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so I replaced it, and now I made a new formula, a new batch of the Gopher kryptonite, and I've put it around each of the peppers. So I'm going to see if he leaves them around now. But that's my thing. That's what's going on, and I love my sunflowers coming up, and the ones that I'm forcing. Forcing is really a great way to get a bump start. And I don't mean just early germination. I mean like forcing, creating those little greenhouse effects. Your seeds will you'll start seeing them surface in 2 days. And they'll take off. So so that's what I have. And like I said, you could just do it makeshift. You could use it with stuff that you have at home. And it works. Anyhow, so all right, well, happy gardening, everybody. I hope if you're into it, you're having a very wonderful experience. And I showed you a bunch of weeds. That's what happens when I take my eyes away from the screen. The camera kind of wanders. Anyhow, so here's my little cell phone video. Anyway, y'all take care. Bye.